Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Dota 2 Asia Championships. We're here with the Chinese Qualifier, and we've got some more best of twos coming your way this evening. I'm Zyori, joined remotely by Blaze, and, well, first up, we've got CDEC Gaming versus Big Good. What's up, Blaze? How you doing?
Doing really well, man. I've been enjoying the DAC a little bit from afar. Got an opportunity to cast with Gods a couple nights back and enjoyed a lot of the games there. So it's going to be an absolute pleasure to join you for these two. And I mean, these teams have been showing some incredible form. Obviously, CDEC is going country to country, participating in the American one, the D2L, and of course, they're in Starladder, right?
Yep.
So all over the place here, but doing the best they can, I'm sure. And Big God, I mean, they are the big names on the block, even though as a team they haven't proven themselves individually. These guys are the best of the best.
Oh, yeah. All names that anyone who's had their pulse on Dota 2 for the last few years will certainly recognize, and even time predating that. Actually, bets right now in favor of CDEC. Fans feeling good. They've been looking strong recently, and we'll get to see them coming up in Starladder. We're shipping out tomorrow morning, Blaze. This is the last cast for the Starladder group before we leave tomorrow, and this will be a nice little sample of maybe what we can expect from CDEC coming up at the LAN, as they will play the remainder of their group stage matches tonight. So we'll actually have to see where they place. I think they're going to be the first team to finish their matches, which is kind of fun. But boy, this draft is going by quick. So I think Big God lost some of their reserve time for running a little bit late. They first picked the Dusa, CDEC with the Venge, Faceless Void, and Big God right there with the second pick, Doom.
Yeah, and this is right along the lines of what you can expect from the two teams, what they've been drafting throughout the DAC so far. Obviously, burning Medusa, whether he puts it in the mid lane or the safe lane, it's going to make some waves. It's going to do some damage. And, I mean, the Void is a decent answer if you can get the Chrono before the ultimate comes out, before she gets to Stone Gaze. That's going to be nice. But, at the end of the day, this is still a hero that you have to commit a lot of resources to bring down. Some form of mana burn is preferable, at least a Necronomicon. And the other way to beat her out is to out-tempo her, to actually push down into the base before she really gets up towards that second or third big item. 2 items if it involves a Scotty, 3 items otherwise, but she gets big fast, and when she does, she's able to make her mark on the map. But CDEC, I mean, you said it, they have some favoritism here. They've only had one roster change in the longest of time. They've been a very stable roster, and SYDM Mikasa, former teammate of former coach of RTK, who occasionally stood in for him, they've got some history, but he's been fitting in very well with CDEC's lineup.
Yes, sir. So, Rubik and Lion, 2 supports banned out by CDEC, quite popular in our current meta right now. Especially that Lion, man, he's been he's been on the rise recently, I should say. Invoker and Broodmother here banned out by Big God. But wow, Dusa and Doom. Talk about securing the late game with your first couple of picks here.
Yeah, I can't imagine that if you look at win rate of this composition past like the 50-minute mark, I can't imagine it being below like 80%. You don't see these heroes too often on the same team, but when they are, you know that you can take it as long as you want to, as long as you get a few good stunning supports on your side. We are going to see the Ancient Apparition come through, so Shadow Thresholds when you drop either hero low, it's going to be good against the Scorched Earth and any mechanism usage. But Medusa mostly relies on mana for survivability, and AA doesn't really stifle that. It's not like Medusa is picking up a lifesteal item, generally speaking. But if you look at the early stage of the draft, they banned out the Juggernaut and the Lycan. It's pretty standard bans for Big God. I mean, Mikasa's Juggernaut is insane, but it's not really targeted at that. It's targeted at carries that come online very quickly. She wants to avoid that so that she can kind of stretch the game out here. And Troll Warlord's going to try to counteract that. Faceless Void attacking insanely fast with the help of the Troll Warlord, and should be able to dish out a lot of damage in that Chronosphere. If he gets a Mask of Manus and a Battle Trance on him in the duration of that Chronosphere, he is just going to be able to 100-0 anybody he chooses.
It could be a game where Void wants to consider that Manta Diffusal build and
definitely.
just go for that mana burn, try and deal with the Dusa, and as you're pointing out with the Troll Warlord ulti, there's some pretty nice synergy there that can actually deal with the Dusa quite well. Now Big God, they get their 2 supports, Skywrath, Earthshaker, a combo we've seen a lot of natural synergy on the laning stage with that long-range poke, and of course also Earthshaker, very, very good against the Faceless Void.
Man, I'm hyped for this. Lanham Earthshaker is so dang amazing. It's going to be a treat. To just see how he can stretch this game out, how he can create space and opportunities for Medusa and Doom to build up, assuming that it's going to be Zhao 8 on the Doom, but it could, of course, be RTK. They kind of switch their roles around a little bit. The cores, that is, they carry, mid, and off lane. They've rotated a lot, even in this tournament. So, generally speaking, it's just going to be really exciting to see the supports that we know. Ice and Lanham, they're going to be doing work to play the delay of game, turtle it out, and with these heroes, I think they can accomplish some great things.
Yep, can't argue with that for sure. Now, for CDEC, are you thinking this will be an off-lane Void or the Void on the 1?
That's a tough call. Really, I mean, they could run the Troll in the mid if they feel comfortable with that matchup. Troll versus Medusa, for example, if they do put another core on the safe lane instead of burning, that would make it so that Medusa doesn't get much early farm, because the whirling axes are really good at just kind of locking down your CS. So I would like to see Troll in the mid and Void in the safe lane, but with the Slark pickup, it very well could be the offlane Void you were mentioning, along with a Slark to go to the safe lane. And Slark is an interesting hero because he's one of those anti-carries that, as big as you can get, if he's got an Abyssal Blade, if he just attacks fast enough to Essence Shift and steal away all your stats, all of which are valuable to the Medusa by far, then I think that there's going to be a lot of value in this pickup.
Yeah, and also just some nice laning synergy with the Ancient Apparition, Vengeful Spirit. Those three, if they're in the safe lane, that is some pretty serious kill potential if it ends up being this off-lane Doom. From Big God, he'll be relegated to the jungle nice and early on, but here you go. Nice, fun pick to deal with the axe.
Yeah. That's going to be a fun... Yeah, and that's going to be a fun one for RTK to run around with here. He's going to get his blink up nice and early, and he's going to be looking to control. Any hero that he taunts is going to be most likely a kill. I mean, the Void can't obviously escape when he's put inside a taunt and then probably either chain stunned or silenced. And then, of course, the Slark is one of those heroes that is just infinitely controlled by the Axe taunt. He wants to go Shadow Dance, he wants to be elusive with his Dark Pact, but no, sir, when Axe calls, you answer. And in this case, it's not going to be that great to be attacking fast. Even if they get the Battle Trance up, that's just going to give more spins to the counter Helix, and that's going to be problematic for CDEC overall. Can't think of a better pick.
So,
only 10 seconds.
CDEC, I don't know, looking at this draft, I think the Big God draft might have a little bit of an easier time here. CDEC, they can put a lot of aggression on, and they push with the Troll, Dire side, maybe Roche will be an option for him, but not a lot of pushing power besides the Battle Trance, and that's where I worry about trying to break that high ground before Dusa really comes online.
Sure. It's hard to say who's got it just from the draft alone, but in this case, it's really either the Slark gets immense and they limit the Axe's blink timing, or the Axe and the Earthshaker are going to be able to create enough space that no matter how big the Slark gets, the Medusa will be even bigger. But I can't wait to see it. I think this one will go probably closer to the 45 to 55 minute mark, somewhere in there, and it's going to be a slugfest for sure.
All right, well, we can look forward to that. Radiant side, we've got the Big Gods, and they're actually not the favorites here. Looking at the names, you may think so, but the fans have spoken about 35% in their favor, I think. We'll see if they can prove some folks wrong in tonight's best of two. Off lane, Faceless Void for the Dire coming down. Scouts out Burning. Burning will be on the Dusa. Looks like stationed at the bottom lane. Ice will be on the Skywrath. That puts Lanham on the Earthshaker. ROTK takes the Axe, and Zhao 8 will be on the Doombringer with a couple of pulled tangos. Looks like they will succeed in keeping their jungle safe, though Void does get down. The first observer from the Dire side, and right here, giving some vision to that bottom rune.
Yep. And looking over at the side of CDEC Gaming, we're going to have SYD and Mikasa take up the mid lane here. He's going to be playing your Slark, so switching that matchup where I'm not sure exactly who's offlaning, but it is going to be that Void on the offlane, played by XH or Xiao Hong. Then that's going to leave the carry position to be played by maybe on your Troll Warlord. He's going to be supported by Q on the Vengeful Spirit, as well as Garter playing the Ancient Apparition. But yeah, all in all, it's going to be interesting to see this Slark and what he can accomplish. It's really, so far from what I've seen from CDEC with this most recent roster, it's all about what Mikasa can do on the mid lane. He usually plays mid, and he often snowballs forward with appears like Templar Assassin, Storm Spirit. He can really define the tempo of the game, but it's not going to be the easiest matchup here against the Medusa.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing a Slark go mid. I feel like in the other metas, not quite so common. Would have expected the Troll to head there, and he does go for a Poor Man's Shield nice and early, Burning, grabbing some extra damage with that Wraith Band, and It'll be interesting to see how the CS score goes, depending on how supports rotate. RTK on the off-lane axe. Looks like BG will kind of devolve into a 2-1-2 here. Burning, or pardon, not burning. RTK stunned up, and yeah, Lanham will rotate up on the Shaker.
Yeah, so Lanham's sole purpose for the early part of this laning phase is just blocking things with Fisher. He did a little bit, like a half a creep wave block for mid lane. He's going at the top lane. He's just pulling the waves back, making sure that his cores are farming closer to their tower, much more secure, and it just overall is a lot smoother of a laning phase. But this does, of course, sacrifice his potential to go into Arcane Blink Dagger, and it also just makes them very non-threatening. I mean, Zhao 8 is jungling on this Doom, now kind of making his move to maybe do a bit of pushing, but they know that they're not going to be killed off unless they make a mistake on the side of CDEC.
Yeah. Well, Zhao 8 will at least be able to find some farm in the safe lane. Not much Void can do to interrupt that. Lana making a move towards the 2-minute rune here. For Radiant Wards, they've got an Observer on the high ground to give some vision of that top rune, and also getting vision of the bottom rune. So both teams prioritizing that rune control quite a bit. And 2 minutes will roll around here. It will be an invisibility at the top. Ooh, Lana. Potential for a first blood here as he decides where he wants to make the movement. Mikasa already soft in the mid lane. Maybe they can set something up. Yeah,
the second that he knew the matchup, he actually pulled himself some extra tangos. He had them coming out in the courier, so he got 6 tangos instead of the 2 that he started with. But all in all, he's still playing it very low. With the Serpent, the Mystic Snake coming out from Burning, he's been harassed quite substantially. He hasn't really bothered to pounce any of them, and with that stun, he's going to be taking even more hits.
Yeah, Burning doesn't use the snake there. Pounce on Mikasa was available, so unless you can just kind of blow him up, not going to be an easy kill target. Yeah. So back to farming. Oop, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just very efficient for Burning right now. I mean, he's 13 and 6. He's used his Mystic Snake on the creeps first so that it bounces over to the Slurk, and he needs that very long cooldown escape to really feel confident in this lane. So the fact that he's not committing the 20-second cooldown to dodge that out, Burning's getting a ton of free damage on him, and overall, like, Slurk's just not going to have the CS score he needs. This is your big core matchup right here. Like, when it comes to a 50-minute mark game, it's all about Slurk versus Dusa. The Void, the Troll, they'll make their impact with their ultimates, but it's really about those two.
Yeah, especially in the mid lane, that kind of makes Mikasa a bit more of a tempo controller here, and we'll see how he adapts his build. I'm curious what item he's going to go for, if it's just going to be more of a standard like rush the Blink Dagger and start moving around the map, if he considers a Shadow Blade, or even just looks towards a Midas and starts to tuck in towards the long ball and make sure he has some farm or at least a tool to make some recovery.
Yeah, a lot of options, obviously. We've seen Yasha, Shadow Blade, and Blink being the main thing as far as positioning. Nice dual bottom line, actually, between Zhao 8 and XH. The Zhao 8 coming up on the lesser end of it with a couple of bashes coming through, but he's got that Scorched Earth and the Tranquil Boots if he walks away from the lane. As far as progression, itemization, Slurk, I mean, he definitely needs attack speed, but I still think Blink might be one of the better options. You can get over Fishers, you can get maybe dodge out an Axe Call. Just that in kind of instantaneous mobility is going to be almost required in this game, otherwise he's just going to be locked down too much by the Shaker and the Axe.
So looking at the offlaners, ROTK moving to the jungle here. Level 4 on the Axe, so had an okay time. Struggling a little bit against the Hellbears, but we'll be able to salve up and be A-okay. Faceless Void, also level 4, and finding a baseline of farm, 11 and 5 in CS, not too shabby. So they are pretty even on that front. Mid lane, as you've been talking about, going the way of Burning on the Dusa, continuing to make Mikasa's life difficult. And the safe lane farmers, that one's going the way of the Troll right now. Maybe our last hitting leader by a pretty good little bump, about 10 up on the safe lane farmer of BG, which is the Doom, though. He's been moving around quite a bit, almost level 6, not there yet, has Tranquils and Oov. And for now, BG just sharing the farm around. Lanham takes over farming in the safe lane for now and gets a couple of CS under his belt.
Yeah, this is one of those things where you don't get to talk about it too much because there's so much going on, but there's been a lot of movement early on from Big Gods. They've been transitioning lanes a ton. Zhao 8 from the jungle to the lane, back to the jungle. Skywrath has gotten some solo experience. Now Lanham's taking some farm to build himself back up since he did nothing for the early stage. Actually, Mikasa manning up against the Axe. Not sure if that's the hero you want to man up against, though. Popping the ultimate, and both walk away.
Yeah, no first blood coming out yet, 5.5 minutes in. But just glancing at the initial graphs, it is Big Gods that are coming out ahead in the early farm. 750 gold, about 1,500 experience going their way. So it appears that these early rotations have proved at least a little bit successful for them out of the gate, as that little lead they picked up is just raw CS.
Yeah, and that last rotation was Burning going up to the top lane when he realized the tower was under pressure. Can actually do some really good job repelling push from a safe distance now that he has his Stone Gaze, and also that Mystic Snake up against 3 heroes has so much more potential to burn through the mana. So I liked that movement. It proved unnecessary as they don't force the issue on the tower, but you know, with that Fervor and Basilius maybe could take a tower very early if they don't bring in somebody who has kind of a ranged counter-pushing utility.
Yeah. Q on the Dire side, rotating down to the Vengeful Spirit. Here we go. Initiation onto the Faceless Void as Ice 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 comes in. Silence onto Q, but there's been a TP forward. Looks like Ancient Apparition joining the party. Who's actually going to be the target to fall? Ice 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 isolated in the trees. Juking best he can. He'll live for now as we get a little bit of lag. Void trying to secure the kill. He will find it. Now Lanham looking for another. It will be a 0-for-2 trade as CDEC coming out ahead in this first little tuple.
Yeah, Jowett's not letting it go without a fight, though. Going in for the Doom here. Scorched Earth damage coming out. Garter could be denied, and he's just right-clicking down hard onto Q. He's going to walk away, both very low, but Garter won't even need to be denied here. Just ate a Tango before the Doom came out, and it actually counteracted some of the damage. So he will survive and walk away, and that's a Doom wasted. It's 0-2 in favor of CDEC. They're all very low, but there's going to be an XH ultimate coming out. The Chronosphere negated a bit by the Fissure, and in the end, nobody is falling here.
Yeah, Lanham showing us why the Earthshaker is so good against the Faceless Void, and Void will not be able to find a kill. Meanwhile, at the top lane, ROTK and Mikasa going blow for blow, forces out a Shadow Dance, and he will repel the Slark from this top tower. TP in from the Skywrath Mage. Looks like they may want to have a go at the Murloc, but won't be able to close the gap, and yep. Slark will be okay. So 0-2, first 7.5 minutes. CDEC getting some kills up on the board, and that will push them into the gold lead.
Yeah. Now, one distinction I want to make for some of the viewers that might be confused by a little bit, this player Ice Ice that is playing as a support is not the offlane member of Vici Gaming, and he's also not one of the other 2 members that described a similar name. There's Icy, who plays for a Chinese team. I've actually just slipped my mind as far as the team itself, but he plays off-lane, plays a lot of Centaur. There's Ice, who plays for a Malaysian team, or I think he's kind of half in retirement right now, but he used to be a very active Malaysian player. Then, of course, there's Ice Ice Ice, the renowned Vici Gaming off-laner.
Too many Ices.
I thought he was just, as far as I know, just a buddy of Zhao 8's, so...
I see. I thought I thought it was the Ice 3 just standing in. I didn't even really think twice about it. Well, thank you for correcting me, sir. Glad you're here joining us, please. So, okay, well, there we are. You know, I thought it was a little weird that Ice 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 was standing in, but I figured, you know, maybe there's a shuffle. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we're going to see a smoke rotation from CDEC coming in, and Doom out on the Faceless Void. Fissure helps break things up a little bit. Zhao 8 going in the front lines, trying to slow him down best he can. Get as much damage into the Void, but won't be able to find the kill there. Now Troll TP's in, the turn on Zhao 8. His Magic Missile sets it up, and they will find the counter kill. 1-for-0 going the way of CDEC, but they're not done yet, looking for more. Can't close the gap on the Skywrath Mage, and that's where this fight will have to end.
Very close call in the mid lane, too. The double damage rune comes out from the Medusa. Mikasa does take a lot of hits here, but he'll just use the Shadow Dance regen as best he can. Look for an opportunity. The Tranquil Boots! Could he get that? No, that would be insane if he did, but the taunt will come through instead. He's dropping into ulti range, but he ultied himself, and RTK will not be able to get the dunk. So Mikasa just bottles up, sits in Shadow Dance once again, and back to full HP. He wants to actually make some moves, be aggressive, and they do have the Chronosphere forthcoming when they TP bottom, but for now it's a tower dive.
Yeah, down bottom. Ice Ice in some trouble here. Maybe he'll finally find him, hit him with some axes, and yeah, that'll be another one. Going the way of CDEC makes it 4-0, just shy of the 10-minute mark as they get very aggressive on this bottom lane and bring the fight to Big God, and that'll give them about 1,000 gold leads, still holding even on experience. And in the other lanes, Dusa still just farming away, burning level 9 phase boots up, and well, not quite online yet, but he's getting there, slow and steady.
Yep. So we'll see big items progress in general. I mean, obviously Medusa wants her big first item. Usually Yasha comes out. Sometimes you go for the Lincoln's Rush if you feel really confident against single target, but really that would be the Vengeful Spirit. Is like the only hero that you have that has skills that you're afraid of in that context. So could go Lincoln's just for VS spells, but more often you see the Yasha to enhance that farm rate, and then you go for some defensive items like the Scotty.
Well, maybe gets the tier 1 tower kill in the bottom lane on the Troll Warlord, so that is the first tower to go down, giving CDEC another little bump in their income here. Glancing at wards, they've got a lane ward down in the mid and at the bottom rune, but we're going to take our
first kill up top.
Sights up top. Yeah, they're going to smoke up Doom onto the Faceless Void, but can they actually close the gap to find the kill? Looks like the concussive shot will fly through, gets hit by the Oov, but now the reaction from CDEC. Xiao 8 going to be forced to about face with the Scorched Earth on, and all it'll take is a couple of TP scrolls, and Void lives with about half HP.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they don't have to have kills with this lineup. Like, as long as Burning is farming fine, then it's not going to be the end of the world. And really, you don't expect big kills to come out until that Blink Dagger's up for RTK and that 50 gold. But it still would be really nice to get some points on the board to get them in the game and get a little bit of experience momentum as well as just the gold that the creeps are farming. Because right now, gold doesn't look that bad. Actually, Mikasa, wow, taking so much damage there. Pounces an auto, but I guess he's going to be working towards a Midas since he hasn't bought up the treads.
Yeah, looks like it, and I think they're also gearing up for a Midas, so was it the Doom, I think? Yep. On the Radiant side, as it coming out on the Courier right now, so that will be one Midas apiece. ROTK on the Axe. He has his Blink Dagger already up, and that'll be 12 minutes in, and now he can start getting pretty aggressive for an offlane Axe. I'd say that's pretty damn good here, Blaze.
Yeah, really strong. We're going to see a rune pickup of invisibility on Burning Medusa. He's already hasted up, but he's just getting the full mana pool. Is scouted out, however, by Q, and if they were clicking on him or just looking, they did see the haste. So Mikasa going to take some free shots, but overall, although Burning hasn't died, he hasn't, like, you know, been fed by multiple heroes over. All the kills have been happening on the side lanes, and he's just been chipping away at the creep wave. But Midases galore. Burning will pick one up as well, so 2 Midases hyper securing the late game against CDEC. And then on the side of CDEC, we actually have an Ice Blast coming through.
Yeah, but Midas is all around. 2 apiece now. The Medusa and Doom on BG, both holding on a farming accelerator here. So Burning going to extend this window where he's very squishy and potentially susceptible to ganks with this low mana pool. Just phase boots, hand to Midas, low on the stats. But now with this farm accelerator, I feel like this puts a little extra pressure on CDEC. Yeah, sure, they have some farming tools of their own, but I don't know. What do you think here, Blaze? Do you think double Midas on both sides is the right call?
I think in this position, as long as you can force neutrality, if you're Big God with these supports that can just break down initiation, then you're fine with equaling Midas for Midas. And CDEC, because they have the potential with Slark to get big, they do want to kind of overpower them with the golden experience infuser there. So I can understand why both are picking it up. I'm not sure if it's the route I would have gone, but in this case with this draft, I definitely think CDEC are better off looking to get a bunch of items rather than just 1 or 2.
Yeah. Well, they'll lose their tier 1 tower in the mid lane as BG group up. Here we go, initiation onto Burning. I think there's a Chronosphere. Yeah, there is. We're just a little delayed here on this Lagfest slideshow we're watching. Medusa will go down first. Now the Earthshaker falls. It looks like Big God's on the back foot. Xiao 8 kind of isolated in the mid, and CDEC going to clean up a very convincing team fight, Blaze. Is this going to be a full 5-man wipe? Wow. A 5-0. Oh my gosh. If only we weren't lagging and that was more exciting to watch.
Yeah, and actually, it's going to be XH just barely survive against the Doom, I believe, doesn't get hit by the fish, and the last tick of Doom will not bring him down. And if this fight would conclude, I'll talk about the mechanic there a little bit, but right now it's maybe right-clicking down on the Earthshaker, finishes him, and yeah, that is going to be a very incredible exchange, 10-0 in favor of CDEC here as they're looking to finish off this tower. But what the Faceless Void was able to do, there was actually lifesteal off the creep wave despite being doomed. It wasn't from his Mask of Madness. That Well, actually, no, it's not muted anymore. I was going to talk about how Doom mutes Mask of Madness, but that's not until Aghanim's. The other thing that gives him lifesteal is Vladimir's Offering, which even with an Ag's Doom, you still get the aura, you still get the lifesteal that way. Same with the Wraith King Vampiric. So I thought it was just clutch because it was utilizing that aspect of Vladimir's, but that Doom nerf way back when, it's going to be double the lifesteal, and yeah, XH shrugs it off with 50 HP to spare. So 10 for 0, not even a deny going the way of Big God. And you can turtle all you want, you can try to take it to the late game, but there's a lot of farm going the way of CDEC.
Initiation outside of the Roche Pit. Mikasa, this could very well be the first kill for Big God. Swap out from Venge, keeps him alive. Shadow Dance, huge Ice Blast on the way in. And CDEC appear to be winning the fight again. Axe and Skywrath have both gone down. They'll lose their Venge in exchange. Roche still standing. As Mikasa is reinitiated now, plenty of HP to spare. Wants to go back in. The troll going ham all over BG. Zhao 8 will go down to the axes. Now burning, left behind. And in more than a little bit of trouble, Pounce connects from Mikasa, secures yet another kill. Back-to-back, huge team fights for CDEC. Sure, BG hit that first milestone of 1 kill on the scoreboard, but a very minor victory now as they will hand over Roshan to the Dire.
Yeah, this is insanely good for CDEC. You were asking me earlier about all this Hand of Midas and whether it was the right choice, and the big conditional is if they could limit the amount of kills happening, BG can benefit just as much from the Midas game as CDEC can, but we see it here, 14-1. CDEC are just rolling all over BG, and one aspect is they're just not ready to fight. I mean, the Aghanims will come out for Zhao 8 in maybe 4 or 5 minutes, but right now they just don't have anything, and yeah, they'll get farm where they can, but...
Wasted Chrono up top. Fast reaction from ROTK as he blinks out just as the Void tries to initiate. A minor victory there for BG, but I don't think much else will come out of it.
And if the Void keeps pushing there, they can actually get a turnaround kill. The Blink Taunt into the Mystic Flare will put him into Calling Blade range. Backtracks are not, so I think that would be a very clutch play from them, but CDEC are just not going to give them an inch. They take the Roche, but they still play passively until they're ready to 5-man together.
The Aegis of the Immortal does go the way of the Troll Warlord, and they've now picked up a third Midas. The Ancient Apparition has completed his very standard build there, and will now transition into the Aghanim Scepter. Point booster already completed, so he's looking on point to have a 20, or not 20, wow, that'd be a little soon, but like 25 minutes or so. That Aghanims could be right around the corner, especially if CDEC can find a few more of these team fights like they have been. BG are smoked up right now in their jungle, and CDEC smoked up, ready to pursue. This could be bad. Who gets revealed first? RTK blinks forward, finds Garter. Can he get off the call, though? Stun coming out. He'll taunt, and ROTK will go down quickly as maybe hops back in and gives him the axes. Burning now slithering his way into the Ancient Apparition, isolates him here, and will be a 1-for-1 to get this fight started. Around the backside, looks like Stone Gaze has been used. Lanham on the run, maybe trying to pursue. Zhao 8 will get left behind. Mikasa should be able to find a kill there. Ice has already gone down. Another disastrous team fight. Ancient Apparition not going to benefit too much, but a triple kill comes out for the Troll Warlord, and 4,800 gold later. Cheese and crackers, that's a Scotty almost on the way.
Yeah. And obviously not worth it whatsoever for BG. And just the quick usage of the ultimate was enough for the AA to make his contribution known to that fight. Essentially getting the debuff on Axe gave them 10% of Axe's health, so essentially dealing 100 damage to him. And then it did actually connect on the 2 back supports, the Skywrath and the Earthshaker. So he made his contribution, and I love how they waited for the Stone Gaze to expire before they made their full jump. They can kind of pick their timings very carefully with this Blink combo on the Slark, on the Troll, and they both jumped in as soon as the Stone Gaze was over. At that point in time, it's a Venge Stun, and the Slark using a Shadow Dance to avoid getting doomed, and if you can't doom the Slark, there's really no great target. Maybe the Void if he has a Chrono, but that wasn't even involved there as it was on cooldown.
Yeah, Mikasa getting very aggressive, blinks into the mid lane, finds Lana, might be able to just get a quick pick before his team can react. He will, but now the silence, it's a 1-for-1. ROTK punishes the aggression of the Slark. And a nice little pick-me-up for Big Gods there, and I mean about 1,000 net worth trade in their favor.
Yeah. Now, one nice aspect of Burning's Midas is the fact that even when he dies, every 100 seconds he's getting some guaranteed gold. So he will be able to pull himself out of this kind of net worth trench here. He will be able to break 10k pretty soon, and that's a guaranteed thing for him. But he's just being completely outpaced by the side of CDEC. We're seeing a Scotty already up for Troll. Not the most common early pickup. Sometimes you see Sanjin Yasha and stuff like that, but when you have all that gold, just drop it. And in this case, the Scotty is going to come out, allow them to just keep on their target and deliver tons and tons of auto attacks. When you consider the attack speed slow of the Scotty, the fact that every single attack that the Slark puts out, with the battle trance in particular, he's taking away an agility and a strength and intelligence. Not only is Medusa getting squishy, but she's attacking like just an old grandma that she is. It really is not going to be allowing them to do much physical damage throughout the fights.
Yeah, Troll effectively doubling Burning right now in terms of raw farm. BG will move into their own Ancients. Had it stacked up a couple times. Sharing is caring as RTK tanks it up. I did just reconnect in, so hopefully that helps with the slideshow issue we've been having. I don't know if you have a good connection, Blaze.
No, that's good.
Got unlucky. Or maybe I was just unlucky then. I was trying to find that right time to roll the dice and try the reconnect. This has actually been a pretty action-packed game, despite that late first blood. Since then, it's really erupted, and it'll happen again on the bottom lane. Lanham gets blown up. The Scotty out on maybe a swap to secure the kill on Zhao 8, and a fast 2-for-0 down bottom as Q and maybe pull a rotation. Ooh. Meanwhile, in the mid now, ROTK initiated on by Mikasa, but will be able to survive.
Yep, and he's just going to take off the battle hunger and then walk away into the tree line full HP. They're not going to be able to punish him for aggression, though it was, of course, nice avoiding the blink initiation. One quick thing for Dota TV viewers, if you suddenly cannot hear Zayori talking, that's just a reconnect button for casters. Just retoggle the audio channel for Beyond the Summit, and you'll be able to hear him once again.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. We're going to avoid using the perspective mode. Apparently there's still a bug that messes up the camera in Dota TV. Is also, for any of you other casters out there, slow down on the first person point of view until they get it fixed again. Alright, so where are we in this game, Blaze? Ah yes, CDEC steamrolling over BG right now. 15,000 golden experience in their favor. 3-21. There's going to be an eruption of 3-2-2s if there's a quick pick in the near future. Item progression on both sides happening, but it's still CDEC with the big ones. We mentioned the Scotty. Doom making progress towards the Aghanim Scepter and actually about one creep kill away from it. Ooh, up top, ROTK going on in. It's Vengeful Spirit taking a lot of damage. Chrono from the Faceless Void locks him in place, and, well, he'll live. His Vengeful Spirit will get dunked, and a 1-for-0 going the other way.
Although it isn't good to have a 4th kill on the board, I actually think that Zhao 8 had no intention of using Doom on the Vengeful Spirit there. When they had swapped positions, he hadn't realized it, and he had just clicked wherever the Void was in the first place. And in the end, he actually dooms the support, who was already dead for all intents and purposes. So that is quite sad. I think it was actually queued up right before the Chrono came out, and then obviously with that swap, yeah, it doesn't work out. But he's got the Aghanims now. If you wait 60 seconds, he's kind of in this ball game as far as being able to really contribute, as the Hadag's Doom can do so much damage. But still, at state of the game, they are relying on CDEC to make a few mistakes. I think right now, if you just had to call it, because they're so far behind, you'd be looking at somewhere between 10 and 20% as far as a chance to bring this one back. And it is completely reliant on CDEC getting overconfident and overextending.
Yeah, we're still in that window where Medusa not that scary, still not that tanky, and doesn't really hit that hard. Has a double damager right now, so that might help in this little skirmish, but soon to expire is the tier 2 in the mid lane for BG. Takes a lot of damage. They don't have a glyph for another 2.5 minutes here, so CDEC will take an easy tower kill, and with that, we'll just back up as to not get hyper-aggressive. Garter very close to an Aghanims of his own, about 300 gold, till that Ancient Apparition will have the upgraded ultimate. Slark's been spending his money. What did he pick up? Looks like an ultimate orb for him as well.
Yeah, and I would be no surprise to see dual Scotties. Obviously, if you're hitting the same target, it's kind of irrelevant, but most of the time you're using it for solo pursuit, and just being able to have such a core item to this hero, where he's extremely durable, but he's also able to stay on his targets and keep essence shifting away. That's going to get him bigger and bigger, attacking faster and faster, and he's already got a nice early boost in the fights with this Slark Troll Warlord combo. I don't know if you've seen it very often, but it's actually a really cool synergy between the one thing that Slark is weak in, which is early fight damage of it. Not even early game, but at the very beginning of the fight, he attacks really slow. But with the Battle Trance, he's able to attack so very quickly, and by the time the Battle Trance is over, he's got tons and tons of agility stolen and can just kind of carry the fight from there. So it's a really good Kickstarter for him to really ramp up his DPS, and really the only hard counter I've seen for it to this point as far as drafts go is either a ton of control or a lot of Ghost Scepter and Ethereal Blade play.
It looks like BG may go for a smoke attempt. Ice has one in the inventory. They're all grouped up. Well, maybe not. They get a little bit of vision control back in this area, but the Dire have such aggressive wards down. Ancient's covered, a little kind of mid-lane ward here. I think they might have had a lane ward down, and now they've got one of the entryway to the jungle. BG still just kind of cornered on their side of the map as CDEC still farm about. Yeah, all right, I guess they're not going to smoke. What do BG have in mind here? They're sort of just grouped up in this little spot. Are they afraid of a smoke gank coming their way, perhaps? I guess they don't have any vision right now.
Yeah, they are pretty dark on the map here, even at daytime, which is sad to say. We've seen so many quick picks where it's just a Ice Blast on top of a Blink and a few right clicks, and they are worried about losing heroes randomly. But at this point, they're just waiting to get to the next stage of the game. They were playing a little bit of kind of 3 protect 1 on the mid lane when Burning was farming up his first bits of items, and they tried to bait him with smoke. But in this case, it's trying to just avoid feeding at all costs and to still keep the items rolling. So in this sense, like RTK, he's probably looking for a Heavy Halberd here to maybe force CDEC to buy a few BKBs. Actually, that pick off, that Ice Blast. Oh, no Blink Dagger for you, and RTK dropping very quick.
Yeah, Void gonna go ahead and use his BKB here, and will charge forward right onto Ice Fissure. Not gonna be enough to keep the Birdman alive. And another 2-for-0 going the way of CDEC. And they stop Axe from taking his Ancients. Troll Warlord gets his full butterfly delivered off the back end of that fight. And now CDEC will group up in the top lane, take out this last outer tower, and maybe look for a play at the high ground.
This is a really tough position to be in. Just CDEC have absolutely destroyed BG and Tempo, and the Medusa cannot carry from this situation. Like, if they got a perfect Landum combo, which of course he doesn't have Blink Dagger for, then maybe we could see Medusa cleaning up the fight, getting 2 kills, which is a lot of killing spree gold, and then kind of sending them packing, and that's where he could start bouncing back. But as it is right now, only having the Manta, Midas, Phase, and Aquila, this hero just can't carry.
Yep, not going to go for the high ground quite yet. Faceless Void very close to his Maelstrom, and there he is. Second Roach back on the field. CDEC going to go right in there, and maybe just going to solo it down. Well, okay, Void going to help him out, but maybe doing the bulk of the damage here.
And this is if you get into the high ground. In this, as soon as they're full mana, there's nothing stopping them from going through. We do see Ice Blast just scaring Axe a little bit, keeping him on his toes. But end of the day, you've got 2 lives on your Troll, who has a very short cooldown on his ultimate, 30 seconds. So his second life can be just as effective as his first. And of course, as you mentioned, he is by far the most farmed.
Absolutely. Doom now goes to a Blink Dagger, so a little more initiation power. Get that ideal Doom target locked down. Might now be able to catch the Slark or catch the Void if they've got some superior vision. BG will secure their Ancients. Obviously was warded up as the AA kind of revealed in that last little fight with the Ice Blast. And, well, now they get vision control there. I think Lanum put that one down. So CDEC, like you mentioned, have to go back to regen, and now I think this is their time.
Yeah. I mean, controlling the map isn't bad either. If they control the Radiant jungle as well as the entire map as they have been, then they don't necessarily have to break high ground now, but it's probably the time where Medusa is going to be at her weakest, and it might just be better to try to close this one out. If they see an opportunity, I'm sure they'll take it, but in this sense, it looks like they are going to play it a little more cautious and just control the map. Look for every Ancient spawn, look for at least half the Radiant's jungle every minute, and then a pick off here and there, 1 pick, and they're definitely going in. But for now, it's a smoke to Doom with that Blink and that Agonist.
Yeah. They will clear out that war that was at the Ancients, and whoa, down bottom, Void gets a solo pick on the Earthshaker, burns a Chronosphere for it, but still finds the pick off. And yeah, I was looking at that gem on Garter. Ancient Apparitions picked one up, and they will reclaim vision control. Only 1 ward outside of the base for BG, and it's this one at the bottom lane. Meanwhile, CDEC grouped up in the mid, ready to put some pressure on. Void gets doomed in the jungle, though.
They just go base.
Will certainly
No
go
Doom,
down.
you
Is it
can't
a worthy
defend your
trade?
base now.
Meanwhile, in the base itself, Burning gets off the Stone Gaze. Will petrify Mikasa, but Ice Blast flies through. They can't get the kill on Dusa. RTK with a taunt onto Q, but Doom already down. Vengeful Spirit may fall, and yeah, kind of baits out the Dusa a little bit. Now RTK caught by the pounce and will not be able to survive. Ice and Lanum, the only 2 left alive. Whirling Axes from maybe come flying through, and this mid lane of Barracks looking like it may expire into a pile of rubble. No glyph available for BG, and Lanum, the lone defender, doing everything he can. A dunk onto Mikasa, but he still gets off the ultimate, and the towers just didn't do enough damage to bring him down. Now the trio of buybacks. Axe, Dusa, and Skywrath Mage back in the game, but RTK instant dieback. Now Burning, trying to man up, but it's maybe in the front line, still with an Aegis of the Immortal, wins the battle and gets a rampage as CDEC continue to tear ass through the BG base.
Fountain diving, forcing the GG double rampage before the Aegis pops. He doesn't have Blink. He will take some hits, but the Butterfly should speed him out. No, he says, I don't even care. Let your Ancient fall. Let your Fountain strike me. because you have just been double rampaged. This is CDEC Gaming showing why they were the favorites in this one, and they pulled off this draft immaculately.
Almost flawless executions. This game started 0-10 with CDEC in a commanding lead, and really just tight Dota. Didn't make too many missteps. Maybe played an amazing troll, 16-0-5, racking up the free farm and just never really slowing it down. 850 GPM and 30 minutes of gameplay.